The Prime Minister is entering the hall. Please welcome him with a big round of applause.
미래 도시의 혁신을
where wonderful technology and intelligence are gathered to enable a sneak peek at future city innovation. We are at World City Expo 2022. Welcome, I am Joo-hee Lee and I'm your MC for the opening ceremony. We're having the 6th World Smart City Expo this year, and as an event of the largest size in Asia, it's gaining importance year by year. You'll be able to witness the innovative aspects of smart city overcoming temporal and spatial barriers using advanced digital platforms. And now we will begin World Smart City Expo 2022, Digital Earth Connecting Together. We are honored by the presence of many distinguished guests. I would like to recognize them one by one. From the Republic of Korea, Prime Minister Han Duck-soo. Thank you very much. We have with us Land, Infrastructure, Transport Vice Minister Won-jae Lee. And from Laos, Minister of Public Works and Transport. Thank you very much.
Welcome, sir. Turkey.
And from Turkey, the Deputy Secretary General of the Federation of Local Governments. From Brunei, we have with us the Senior Assistant Chief Executive. Thank you very much. And we have Vice President Jung-kwan Lee of Land and Housing Corporation of Korea. And from K-Water, President Jae-hyun Park is also with us. And we have Deputy Ambassador Eva Whitman from the Embassy of the Netherlands. And we have Deputy Minister Kang Do-hyun of the Ministry of Science and ICT. I apologize for not being able to recognize all the guests. In the interest of time, I would like to thank the online viewers of Korea and around the world. Thank you very much. And now, the Prime Minister, Mr. Han Duck-soo, will deliver his congratulatory remark. Please welcome him with a big round of applause.
First of all, thank you very much all the very distinguished foreign guests actually flying over a very long distance from your country. 존경하는 국민 여러분.
Honorable citizens of the Republic of Korea, we are here at the World Smart City Expo, which aspires to foresee the future of cities. We have 300 exhibition booths. I would like to thank the corporations, the local governments, MOLIT, and the Ministry of Science and ICT for preparing this event. In particular, all of the distinguished guests from abroad, I thank you deeply. The cities are faced with many challenges because of climate change. We're faced with natural disasters. We also see the widening gap of economic and social disparity. And so we are faced with many difficulties at this time. In order to overcome this, we are focusing on smart cities based on digital technology, big data, AI, robotics. And digital technology will enable us to connect all of the services of the cities to ensure safety, security, care services, medical services, and transportation. The floods and the droughts and other natural disasters will no longer be a threat to the citizens. The global smart city market by 2025 will reach 1 trillion won, $1 trillion according to estimates. And so there is indeed a great growth engine in this area. Ladies and gentlemen, the Republic of Korea has the world's greatest digital technology competitiveness, and we are focusing on the advancement of smart cities. We have data integration platforms, and we are further spreading this to around the world so that we can run the cities based on data and to further innovate the public services. We want to apply digital technology to ensure safety and transportation services in a more proactive manner. Big data and AI and other advanced technologies will be utilized so that we can preemptively predict and prevent problems before they arise. And also, we will open up the public data so that the private sector and research institutes can collaborate more closely together. Ladies and gentlemen, the Republic of Korea has been actively focusing on global cooperation for further advancement of the world. And based on our expertise and experience of smart city development, we wish to work with countries and cities around the world. Already, we are supporting the smart city development in around 21 cities around the world, and we tend to further increase our collaborative efforts. We want to be able to further develop the WSCE as a platform for collaboration in the field of smart cities. Yes, thank you very much, Prime Minister Han Duck-soo, for your remarks. As was just mentioned, the WSCE 2022 is expected to be the platform to share our expertise and experience of building smart cities so that we can further strengthen global cooperation in this field.
We are going to have a 3-day World Smart City Expo here at Ilsan Kintex in Gyeonggi-do Province, and you're attending the opening ceremony. And now we will have an opening performance to wish the success of the Expo. This year's slogan is Digital Earth Connecting Together. All the cities will be connected through technology, overcoming temporal and spatial barriers. And even though we live in different cities, we'll be able to share the same vision. And through the performance, we'll be able to see how Korea can be connected to worldwide cities through the digital earth. And for this performance, we have employees and personnel from the K-City Network, cooperating cities who will be participating online. I would like to ask some of the guests to come up to the stage to participate in the performance. Prime Minister Han Duck-soo, please come up, and Vice Minister Lee, Minister Vieng Savat Sivandon of Laos, Deputy Secretary General Ramadan Özkan Yildirim of Turkey, Senior Assistant Chief Executive Hairul Abdul Karim of Brunei, Vice President Lee Jong-kwan of LH, President Park Jae-hyun of K-Water, Deputy Ambassador Eva Whitman of the Netherlands to Korea, Deputy Minister Kang Do-hyun of MSIT. Please come up to the stage and place yourself in front of the touch button. The slogan is Digital Earth Connecting Together. So we will have the opening performance done by the people on site and online. If you look at the LED screen behind you, we see that the city experts around the world are participating together. Please place your hand on the button.
네, 저희가 손을 잠시 올려놓고 터치 버튼을 누르기 전에 기념 촬영.
Before you press the touch button, we're going to have a photo session.
Before the actual ceremony, please face our photographers. 네, 준비가 되신 거 같고요.
I think everyone is ready. On a count of 3, please press the touch button.
네, 자, 그럼 시작하도록 하겠습니다.
Now we will begin. Digital Earth Connecting Together.
네, 친환경 에너지부터 스마트
Eco-friendly energy, smart mobility, robotics, AI. Many technologies comprising smart city are creating synergy within one digital earth and creating a bright future for us. Yes, the Smart City Expo 2022 has opened. Please return to your seats. Thank you very much.
네, 오늘 함께 해주신 한덕수 국무총리님께서는 부득이한 일정으로
Prime Minister Han Duck-soo, because of a pressing schedule, will have to leave at this moment. I would like to the Prime Minister for participating despite his busy schedule for attaining to government affairs.
네, 총리님께서 지금
So the Prime Minister is leaving the venue. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, please give him a big round of applause. Thank you, Prime Minister, once again for gracing us with your presence here today. We are here at the opening ceremony of the 2022 World Smart City Expo. I would like to once again thank the distinguished guests for being here with us today. And now it is time to learn the values and vision of smart cities, and also to learn about what will be the social paradigm in this changing world. So we ask for your continuous interest in the next session that we will carry out. It is time to share the wisdom about the future of smart cities. It is time to listen to the keynote presentation. The speaker is a renowned futurist acknowledged by Bloomberg as one of the best futurists in the world. He is a sharp economic expert, and he is Chairman Jason Schenker of the Futurist Institute. Please greet him with a big round of applause.
감사합니다. Thank you very much for inviting me. It is a pleasure to be here today. As we think about smart cities, they are the future. The case for smart cities, as we've just heard the Prime Minister discuss, is tied to the fact that we will see increasing challenges to the global economy, to society, and more. The most important factors that will shape the demand really are the demographics. The global population is poised to be about 2 billion more people by 2050. Urban populations are expected to increase between 2 and 2.5 billion by 2050. And we know that land, water, energy, and other resources are limited. We live in a Rousseauian world, and yet we will see the limited resources we have be stretched even further, not just globally, but especially in cities. This is why there is such an urgent call to action for smart cities. If we think about some of the most recent dynamics, we think about the global conflict we see right now with the Russian war on Ukraine, that has underscored resource risks significantly. These graphics show two things. On the left, we see international food prices, which have skyrocketed on supply disruption concerns. This is an issue with global ramifications. The figure on the right, both of these are from the IMF, shows international oil and natural gas prices. And while we've seen oil prices recently moderate somewhat, natural gas prices could still go much higher this winter. These are potentially just the opening salvos of resource conflicts we could see going forward. The most important implication is to be as judicious with the use of the resources available as possible. Efficient resource allocation requires data, requires analysis, requires technology. This is where we come to smart cities. The critical goals, as I see them, though, has a lot to do with citizen experience, not just efficient resource allocation. The most important things we all want from life, wherever we live, in whatever city we are in, include convenience. We like things to be convenient, right? Livable and workable. We want to be able to not have issues with living somewhere. We want it to be pleasant, right? And perceived abundance. This is really where the resource piece comes in. While resources may be scarce, while supply chains may be stressed, while resource scarcity is a problem and will become a bigger problem, we want citizens in the cities where they live to perceive there is abundance. If they don't feel there are abundant resources, there is a risk not just to business stability and the economy, but also to society and potentially geopolitically. And that perceived abundance, that's a key part of what must be the citizen experience. We're going to talk a lot about technology over the course of the next few days. There is an abundance of amazing technologies in this hall. And what it's all about is making sure, even as resources are stressed, that people don't feel the stress, that the technology can make them secure, that when they turn on the water, it will be there, that when they turn on power, it will be there, that when they need things, they have them. And this ties into safety, not just being in a physically safe place, but also feeling safe and secure in the economic conveniences we all enjoy and expect. So what are the opportunities then for smart cities? There are a few. First, remote life can relieve some urban pressures. We've seen this since COVID really accelerated these, but for many years, remote work, online education, e-commerce, and telehealth have been evolving and growing. But the explosion of activity in these areas has revealed greater potential to optimize and make our lives more convenient, more enjoyable, to stretch resources even further. I think about people who may not have been able to have certain jobs before they were remote. I also consider how people were unable to secure the education they've been able to get since the online education piece has exploded. I know I did a master's degree online between 2014 and 2016. My wife started doing her MBA in the middle of COVID, finishes at the end of this year. Those things would not have been possible if I had had to go to a physical building, or if my wife had to go from commuting to work and then commuting to school. Instead, you just open a web browser. We've seen the explosion in these areas and the value of people's lives, the ability to make their lives more livable, have more time for themselves, and to accomplish more. Instead of going to various places throughout the day, you open a new web browser to go from work to school. That is a tremendous value. If we continue to see the opportunities of remote work remain in place, I am very optimistic for what we will see going forward for economic activity. If we see online education remain a key cornerstone of activity, I am optimistic for where our economies will go. Because part of the reason we're here talking about technology is because we live in an intellectual capital economy. And education, knowledge, the brain business becomes every business. E-commerce and telehealth have also vastly accelerated in recent years and have revealed how much more convenient some of our daily activities can be. All of these things not only add convenience, but they also reduce stressors on the system. They also unlock economic potential. This gives us a hint as to what the new technologies we will see in the years and decades ahead will unlock for the economy and smart cities in the future. Another key part of the remote life piece is the increase in sustainability. This is not a flash in the pan topic. This isn't something that's going away. The resource allocation efficiency, the need to do more with less, and the volatile weather that we've seen as a result, all of these things are reasons to expect sustainability will not only be present, but will accelerate. Leveraging data, leveraging smart city technology, integrating what we think we know with data that shows us the reality can help us reduce our resource consumption, increase energy efficiency, help us identify where renewables can help in our power generation. We can increase our recycling, and we can improve infrastructure utilization. But none of these things, which make cities both more livable and more workable in the long run, happen without measurement, without data, without analysis. This is where this all really begins. And as we think about the myriad technologies that we're going to be seeing over the next few days, I am very optimistic about what the future looks like. Self-driving vehicles, automation, drones, further data analysis and artificial intelligence, metaverse technologies, and smart utilities all will be integrated into leading us to the fulfillment of smart cities, to helping us have livable, workable places to be, while also ensuring safety and perceived resource abundance. That's what it's really about. These are all at various stages of development. Some of them have been proven quite strong. We look at smart grids, we look at smart power meters, we look at data analysis and the value there. Self-driving vehicles might take a little longer. We're moving in that direction. Automation in all kinds of businesses, accelerating moving forward. And metaverse technologies present some very important business solutions, as well as some entertainment parts of life that will be critical and will be part of the bedrock of how we train people, how people are educated, and also how we're going to bootstrap some of the self-driving vehicle data and how we map out our cities. All of those things are going to be important to pull together in order to get to the smart cities of the future. Now we know what we need and we know what we want. Let's talk about tech requirements for success. The biggest things that I perceive as I think about the future of smart cities are that technology will be everywhere. And I know it's a lot more here and in other parts of Korea than it is in many cities in the world, but what we're seeing today is really just the beginning. There's going to be a lot more technology everywhere. Sensors everywhere. Data collection everywhere. And we will need increasingly resilient cybersecurity tech stacks because the attack surface will greatly increase, because if every part of a city becomes a source of data that must be analyzed in order to fulfill those goals and promises of smart cities, we need to make sure that data is secure. Those are the requirements. That's from a technical standpoint. If we think about the mindset, you have to become a futurist. What does that mean? Embracing technology is critical. Building cultures of data. There are many organizations, many entities. They don't want to look at the data. They don't want to measure the data. They don't care about the data. The data is critical. Having people collect good data, having them understand why they're doing it, building that desire for more is critical. A culture of education. I mentioned earlier, online education has been a boon for unlocking the intellectual capital economy. If you want to be in the brain business, if we want to see smart cities get to where we want them to be, that will require a lot more knowledge building, a lot more skills building across the entire economy. Understanding that remote life is something that can help us relieve the pressures that will become more persistent in cities. If we have more people, more demand on resources, remote life helps to keep some of those pressures away. We also need to be focused on long-term strategic planning and futurist thinking, which means, if we're thinking like a futurist, right, if you want to become a futurist, it's not just making one path to the future, it's thinking about multiple different ways that things could play out. It's looking at multiple different technologies and thinking about how could they fit. It's about not just having a plan A or B, it's about having plan A, B, C, D, E, and F, and understanding what the triggers for different plans, for different expectations, for the success or failure of technologies will be. Also need to be thinking about energy utilization and how to be eco-efficient. Doing more with less, a stressor that will only increase as resource pressures rise. There are close to 1 billion people on this planet who live in energy poverty, and almost 2 billion that don't have clean cooking fuels. Now we're going to add 2 billion more people to the planet over the next 30 years. These are real challenges, and we must be as efficient as possible with what we have. And finally, it helps to have a communal focus, not just be focused on the individual, but thinking about the city and other people in it. I know in Korea, this is a particularly important value. It's not a value everywhere, but I know it is here. And that's part of the reason I see several different requirements that help make the case for Korea to expand further in smart cities and to move ahead of the pack. So there are a few things. In addition to a communal focus, there's a lot of government support, right? We see the folks who are here in attendance. We see all of the focus on these areas through public-private partnerships. But we're also going to need to see, from the private sector, a lot of infrastructure investments, and the public sector too. The ICT industry, that's going to support the Smart Cities initiatives here, I believe, and an expansion. And the final piece is the ability to export winning solutions, which is something that we've seen in the Korean economy in a great scale over the last 3 decades. So between the communal focus, the government support, public-private initiatives, infrastructure investments, world-class ICT industry, and an ability to export those solutions, there are many reasons to be optimistic that what we're seeing here today for smart cities is really still just the beginning. And with that, I thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your succinct and also very insightful keynote speech. You may return to your seat, Mr. Schenker. 네, 제이슨 쉔커 회장님 좋은 말씀.
Thank you very much, Chairman Schenker, for the great presentation. He has touched upon the role of smart cities and also the value and the roadmap. So I think that it was a presentation that really embodied the essence of what this WSCE stands for. We're here at the 2022 WSCE, which provides you an opportunity to experience the present and the future of smart city. So through the words of Prime Minister Han and Chairman Jason Schenker, we were able to take a glimpse of the vision for the cities that many cities around the world aspire to hold. Now it is time to invite Vice Minister Lee Won-jae of Molit and Chairman Jason Schenker to have a discussion with the two distinguished guests. Let them have them up on stage. Please greet them with a big round of applause.
So it will be done with interpretation, so you might need your 해역 수신기를 사용하셔야지 영어에서 통역을 들으실 수 있습니다. 네, 참석자분들께서도 또 통역 수
And also, ladies and gentlemen, if you need interpretation, please utilize the receivers that have been provided.
네, 감사합니다.
Thank you very much. I have a question that goes to both of you. We heard in the keynote presentation by Chairman Jason Schenker that in order to overcome the various crises and challenges and the humanity is faced with many difficulties, for example, economy-wise and society-wise, also there's a population that is on the rise and the limited resources. Well, having said that, the smart city infrastructure is being built with advanced technology. At the same time, it's the attitude and the experience of the citizens that embrace the technology is very important. So I want to ask you, what is the most important smart city technology that we should focus on?
스마트 시티와 관련된 기술들은
Yes, well, when it comes to the technologies related to smart cities,
스마트 시티가 초기에는 예를 들어
in the initial stages of smart cities, we focused on transportation or security. But as smart cities further expand, I think that various technologies are being applied to the cities. For example, the CCTVs and also IoT, 5G. These technologies have been applied, but recently, also on top of that, digital twin, metaverse, for example, these are the types of technologies that are now being widely applied increasingly. So going forward, as technology further advances, I think that more diverse technologies will be applied and implemented in smart cities. Among them, in my view, digital twin technology is something that we should focus on.
디지털 트윈은 그
Digital twin actually can create a city in a digital world, in the cyberspace. And once we adopt this digital twin technology to smart cities, we will be able to reflect the topography, the road, the building, information into the digital world. And also, all of the infrastructure and the facilities that are top of the ground and underground can be mimicked in the digital world. So through the digital twin, we will be able to link the real world with the digital world, and we can utilize the digital world to do monitoring and simulations. For example, if we are building roads, or if we are building new buildings, or if we are creating parks, we will be able to simulate that in the digital world in advance. And recently, we are experiencing the worsening of the climate change, and that has led to many natural disasters. And I think that we can utilize the digital twin to actually prepare ourselves with the solutions to tackle these natural disasters and prevent the damages arising from natural disasters. And also, if we combine data with that, I think that also Metabus city can be created, and also autonomous vehicles, for example, and UAM can be widely applied. So I do believe that also at our ministry, the Ministry of Land, Infrastructure and Transportation, we are taking much interest in the further advancement of this type of technology. Yes, thank you very much. And through the presentation, Chairman Schenker talked about the various challenges which we should preemptively tackle. And the Vice Minister also talked about how the digital twin technology can help us do exactly that. So now let us listen to the view of Chairman Schenker.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I agree with the Vice Minister on this one, that if we think about the importance of different technologies and where we're going to see the value add, the opportunity for digital twin technologies to help map out smart cities ties in very much to the notion that you can't optimize what you don't know, you can't optimize what you haven't measured. And so before we make, and we'll talk, I think, more about this, but before we can make everything perfect, we need to know where we are now, and we need to know everything from a topographical standpoint in a three-dimensional way in order to really push forward. So I think there's tremendous value add there. I also think that with autonomous vehicles, there is a tremendous opportunity to bootstrap and accelerate the experience of self-driving cars. And I will say something that maybe sounds a little crazy at first, which is self-driving cars, and there are some of them out there now being tested, they don't know they're on a road. When we're in a car, we know it. They're a computer program. They don't care if they're driving in a metaverse where everything has been synthesized for the city through a digital twin, or if they're on real roads. And if we want to get to true full automation, we need a lot more miles than we can drive right now on roads. What that requires is a metaverse for roads, a metaverse for transportation, to accelerate the speed at which we can discover edge cases, errors, tweak the system, and optimize it to get better performance. But that's a tremendously important value add for all parts of smart cities, but especially I see for self-driving vehicles.
네, 점차 더
Yes, thank you very much. So as technology advances, also I think that there will be further conversion between the different technologies, and this will also contribute to the further advancement of smart cities. But it's very difficult to actually embrace the new technologies. In the case of Korea, we have the experience of Uber. Because of the Transportation Act of Korea, Uber had to leave Korea. And also Airbnb, I understand, because of some of the constraints here in Korea, there's only limited operations in Korea. So I would like to ask you, well, in order to create a smart city ecosystem, what are you planning to do?
Yes, as you mentioned, developing new innovative technologies and services and using them, that is essential for the success of smart cities. However, because it is a new technology or service that has not been used before, it may conflict with the current legal system or not be included in the legal scope, making it difficult to commercialize even if the service or product is developed. Therefore, in order to solve this, the regulatory sandbox is operated by the Korean government. The developer will be able to demonstrate the technology, so they will be given a grace period and they can receive benefits and receive support, and they can also be supported with the development cost. So technologies and services can be tested within a certain period of time, within a certain space, and test whether it is safe, whether it is feasible, and if they're proven, then they could be actually used in the actual field. To give you an example, in parks, we have robots that are patrolling the grounds of the park. There's a startup that develops the robots. According to our current law, robots cannot enter the park grounds, but we are providing a regulatory sandbox so that we let the robot enter the park grounds for a certain period of time and have the startup company test out the safety of the robots, and we look at the response from the citizens. So in order to apply new technologies, we want to provide the right environment. Thank you. Chairman Schenker, you talked about how in Korea we have the right conditions for smart city development, and you talked about strong government support, and we see that there is indeed government support for smart city development. And through the keynote speech, what I came to think about is the reason why we have these technologies is for the people, for them to enjoy a better life and to provide them with convenience. And so it's a human-centric city and society that we should pursue. But advanced technologies could be not readily accepted by the socially challenged, and the access may be low, and some people may be marginalized and may not benefit from the technology. So for eco-friendly city, for a human-centered society, what technology should we use and what should we do?
Great. Thank you very much for this question. There are, I think, a couple pieces of it. And the first is that we've seen various technological developments for consumer use, for business use, and while we might always, unfortunately, see part of society marginalized, with the right intent and with more data around it, obviously, if we have smart cities, we're going to have better visibility than ever to understand who is or is not accessing the benefits, who is or is not taxing the system. So, and by that I mean putting pressure on that system, right? This is something that will have to be watched closely. There's no perfect fix to addressing the potential for a persistent percent of the population being marginalized, but there is the hope that more new technologies, more advancements, the ability to export smart city technologies and implement that elsewhere could present opportunities for new growth, new income, more of an economic footprint for Korea. And I also think that, as I mentioned earlier, one of the keys to unlocking the value, the potential, and the further economic growth relies in more education attainment and pushing for more of that. So it's very difficult to make outcomes all equal, but there are ways that you can pressure a system to get better outcomes. And if we think about educational attainment, developing technologies and exporting them to the world, that's been the story for Korea of the last 30 years. I'm optimistic for the next 30.
네, 답변 감사드립니다. 그러면은
Thank you very much for that answer. Now, adding on to that, I would like to ask you the next question. Now, sharing the technology, we will be able to enjoy growth and further development, like you said. So I think that what we aspire to do is to create an inclusive city where people can live a more happier life. So let me give you a question from a broader perspective. In the case of developing nations, they're experiencing rapid urbanization. And so they're facing existing challenges, for example, the traditional challenges of traffic congestions, environmental pollution, but at the same time, there's a challenge coming from climate change, for example, the natural disasters. So they are faced with these double challenges. Can smart cities become a solution for them to overcome these challenges? And in order to further promote the development of smart cities in developing countries, what areas should we further focus on in providing support to the developing nations? Chairman Schenker, can you answer first, and then we'll go to the Vice Minister.
And I think there are a few big opportunities here that can be a win-win. In developing economies, cities have various kinds of pressures. Not every city is the same. Some lack the infrastructure, many of them lack the infrastructure. Some of them suffer from poverty, crime. Some of them have issues with law and corruption. Others have issues with resources. They're not all the same. So I think there's probably a lot of opportunity in trying to find maybe a few select cities to partner with. I think about the Twin City, the Sister City program, here in Goyong, the smart cities, there are many, they've been established for many years, right? There's a smart city there's a sister city in Austria and the Netherlands. There are a number in the United States, but a sister city, for example, is Maui County. That's in Hawaii. That's where people go to surf. It's not a developing country, right? So if we look at the friendship cities, right, there are a number as well. Monterrey, Mexico is one of them. There's a city in Mongolia. There are a number of other cities. maybe a new sister city, a new friendship city, some other kind of initiative like that could allow Korea to partner with a select number of cities, and obviously to pick the right cities, because there are many developing cities that suffer from these problems, almost many of them, right? Do a focus, filter out, pick a few that you think you can impact, and then partner with them and share some of the technologies, also identifying what their priorities are, because we might look at a developing city and go, that's the problem, but from a design thinking standpoint, they might think something completely different is the problem. So I think having that discussion, picking a few cities to partner with, could do a lot to advance smart cities, create economic opportunity in those cities, but also here in Korea, and also increase the soft diplomacy, the visibility and political footprint globally for what Korea is able to do with technology.
네, 감사합니다. 답변.
Thank you very much. So with our experience and technology, we could share them, and it will help the developing countries, and it will be a win-win for all. And Vice Minister?
예, 저도 우리 그 제이슨 쉔커 씨
Yes, I agree with Chairman Schenker's view.
개도국의 경우에는
In the case of developing nations,
상황이 좀 다르고
well, the cities are faced with different conditions. Some areas are faced with certain challenges that may be different from other cities. So the case differs by city. But in order to overcome these challenges, the cities, well, if they embrace the smart city technologies, they will benefit in tackling the challenges that they are faced with. For example, if it's a city with heavy traffic congestion, then that city can think about building new roads or further expanding the existing roads. For that, the smart technology that can enable the smooth flow of transportation can actually help the cities enjoy efficient transportation systems. So, to support the development of smart cities in developing nations, there can be many different approaches. In my view, first of all, in the public sector, there has to be more support for promoting the digitalization of a public sector. The roads and also water and energy issues are a major challenge. So the expertise and the experience of advanced countries should be shared with the developing nations. ODA programs can be utilized, for example, and feasibility tests can be carried out, and also there can be support provided to the project implementation.
개도국에 필요한 인력 양성
And also, the human resource development programs are also an area that needs further support for developing nations. I do believe that the World Smart City Expo can be a venue for exchanging such experiences and enable us to further cooperate in this area. Yes, thank you very much, Vice Minister. As was just mentioned, this expo will help promote the cooperation among cities. So the WSCE's theme is Digital Earth Connecting Together. And the digital platforms that have been segregated are now being integrated. I do believe that data integration will be further accelerated. And that will enable scientific administration based on data, and cities will be run more efficiently. But at the same time, there are people who are concerned that if everything in their lives are based on digital platforms, then perhaps there will be more personal data that will be collected, and that the privacy issue is a major area of concern. For example, the invasion of privacy, personal information are some challenges that people are pointing towards. So we need the right technology to ensure that personal information are not ill-used in this process. What would be the appropriate solution for this? First, the Vice Minister, and then we'll go on to the Chairman. Yes. In order for the smart cities to develop further and advance, we need various data to be collected and analyzed, and that will lead to the creation and development of new industries. But at the same time, as we collect and process that data, of course, there may be the issue of privacy. These personal informations may be ill-used, so I think that we need the right balance. So when it comes to the protection of personal information and the promotion of data utilization, the Korean government has come up with the 3 laws related to data. These laws have actually been already implemented. We have the Personal Information Protection Act, we have the Credit Information Protection Act, and we have the Information Telecommunications Network Act. So for the data that has been cleansed and has been made anonymous, it is authorized that these data can be used, but also we have these guidelines in place to ensure that private information, personal information, are not leaked or ill-used. We need to really have clear guidelines, first and foremost, to ensure that the negative impact of the use of personal information does not arise. And also, for example, if we obtain data utilizing CCTV, well, we can blur the faces so that their faces are not revealed. So we have to ensure that the data is used for the purpose of collecting the data and ensure security at the same time.
Yes, Mr. Schenker?
Yes, thank you. I agree completely with the Vice Minister's statements that balance, striking the balance of we need all the data. We need sensors everywhere. We need to collect the data, but we have to protect individuals. And we also have to protect the system of data, because if everything becomes integrated with data, now there's not just privacy risk, there's also a risk that the system could be vulnerable to any threats from the outside. And make no mistake, we will look back on the cybersecurity threats of today and think, wow, we had it so good in 2022. So going forward, making sure we have a strong enough cybersecurity tech stack, that's one of those critical pillars for success, and of course, striking the balance to protect individuals and their individual data, but also protecting them as individuals in a technology integrated system.
네, 저희가 사실은
Yes, thank you. Security is very important in smart cities. We have to think about privacy, but also we need to protect the system. That is one thing we have overlooked. Listening to you both, I now get a glimpse of the future smart city. I wish that we had more time, but we don't have enough time to proceed with the discussion, so we'll have to close at this point. I'd like to thank you both. Throughout the Expo, you'll be able to experience many technologies and share knowledge. Let's give the 2 gentlemen a big round of applause for their insight. Thank you very much.
네, 감사합니다. 이제 자리에 돌아가.
Thank you very much. You may return to your seats. Thank you.
네, 여러분 대담 어떻게
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed the talk with the Vice Minister and Chairman. I was able to get a glimpse of hope because they were talking about how we can tackle the challenges that the world is faced with. And listening to the 2 gentlemen speak, I was able to feel that the advanced technologies and the platforms will enable my life and our lives to become more abundant and enjoyable and convenient. So by utilizing technology, I am sure that we will be able to create a more sustainable and inclusive future together. Smart City is a joint vision in which we hold, and we are here at the WSCE at the Kintex, which will carry on for the next 3 days. There are various events and many interesting conferences, as well as business meeting opportunities. A lot of people also talked about metaverse, and there is also a special conference on metaverse. Not only that, there is a conference related to the topic of ESG. So here at the Expo, you can experience the present and the future of smart cities. We ask for your interest and support for the next 3 days. Now it is time to take a commemorative photo, which is the last event of the opening ceremony. So I ask everyone, the VIPs, to please come forward up to the stage to take a commemorative photo.